Well, Senator Marie Alvarado-Gil, welcome to State of Gold.
Well, thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Wow. Don't we have some stuff to cover in California, literally and figuratively burning down? I've got a few topics on my list. I want to talk about your switch to being a Republican last August, which
Yeah.
obviously made a lot of news, the governor's race, maybe some of the interests of the heartland in California that are underserved, right from Sacramento. But first, Ronald Reagan famously said that the Democratic Party left him.
That's
And what
right.
I want to ask you first, Senator, is do you think that California is ready to leave the Democratic Party?
I've been so excited to see the numbers come across after I came out as a Republican. I mean, the number one question that I wrestled with when I ran for office is, why are you a Democrat? And I was asked that question over and over again as I talked about my values, as I talk about my voting positions. And, Californians told me before I actually realized I was never a Democrat in terms of my values. And, the final straw was after the attempted assassination of President Trump, where Democrats celebrated in the hallways of Sacramento. The amount of vileness that erupted after that attempted assassination really told me that the party had gone way far
Wow.
left. Yeah, yeah.
So you said that people celebrated it. That's shocking. What did you see?
Well, it was mostly what I heard. The hallways were resonating with, like, well, we wish he would have died, or we wish that bullet just would have gone a little bit farther to the right. And we saw this also with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. It just got more and more disgusting and vile in terms of what we heard. And when we celebrate the death of anyone, I think we really have a thermometer of our society that we've gone too far. I mean,
Yeah.
it is just absolutely dreadful, and having to explain it to young people, what they're actually seeing in America. This is beyond a turning point. We are at a boiling point right now with politics.
We certainly are. And I think we all need to call for calm. We need to call for civility.
That's
We
right.
need to call for lowering the temperature on the rhetoric and coming together as a society. And, I really think that California should be a leader in that. And by the way, we'll get maybe to a bit on Prop 50 because Prop 50 is a great example of California, I think, showing bad behavior when we should be a model for constitutional democracy. So we'll come back to that. I want to ask you about Katie Porter for a minute.
Okay.
She's revealed that she's not interested in representing the 40% of California that votes Republican. What do her comments reveal about the broader Democratic Party right now in California?
Think what it really tells you is that it's a one party system that is not about representing the people. It's really about continuing to build power. It's continuing to build performance politics, if you will. The issues that the Democrats continue to support and fund are not universally supported of Californians, and frankly, Californians that disagree with Democrats are kind of put to the sidelines and held hostage when it comes to some of these policies.
Right, right, right. I'm curious, just because you mentioned the word policy, what are the one or two worst policies, most hurtful policies that you think have been put forward by Democrats that are really impacting Californians right now?
Well, one of the biggest issues that I fought against is giving government more power over our children than parents. I came into this through the charter school world, opened successful charter schools, and advocated for my own kids as a parent. AB 495, I'm going to say that's the most devastating bill that went through both Assembly and the Senate. We had thousands of people coming through all over California to oppose this bill. This is the bill that allows basically a stranger to sign out your child from school and to make decisions, medical decisions, to make really life changing decisions for that child. And the senator passed it with no qualms. And this is one of those situations that we already know that our public schools are failing our kids academically. Now they're failing our kids socially and emotionally. And so that for me was just a big red flag that we have gone too far to the left and that our families, our children are at risk here.
One clarification, Senator, because people may have heard of this new law, but it was ostensibly put forward by the Democrats so that if you have a kid who's in, California, whose parents are deported, That
Right.
there's a mechanism for someone, a friend or, a relation to have custody of that child while their parents are in a process or out of the United States. That seems like a reasonable on the face, a reasonable concern, but how is this law have the moral hazard so that anyone could come forward and claim one of these kids?
Right. Well, you would think that, yes, that there was a problem, but we already have systems in place to help all children, not just children of parents who could or may be deported. So, in the event that a child's parents are injured or absent, we have a system already in place in California to protect those children. Whether it's perfect or imperfect, it already exists. This legislation puts us 5 steps forward in saying that one, it is okay to come to our country or come to our state illegally. We're going to continue to fund services to help protect you. I think that's the fundamental error here is that we're continuing to put tax dollars towards um, rewarding illegal behavior. And mind you, I'm a big proponent that if children came to this country through no fault of their own, we need to protect them. They're American children. We need to make sure that they're okay. But we have systems for all children. To single out children of undocumented parents opens the door to allow anyone without any blood relative or without any knowledge of the child or any relationship with that child to come in and take guardianship
Got
or
it.
take ownership.
Right, so kind of an unintended moral hazard. Yeah,
Right.
gotcha.
And there's nothing in the law, there's nothing in the policy that was written to be exclusive for parents that were either deported or detained. And I think that was really the criticism of this law is it was too ambiguous. It is too ambiguous and it allows predators to take advantage of our laws and ultimately put our kids in danger.
Got it. Okay, I appreciate the clarification. Let's talk about the heartland of California. I think
Yeah.
there are many who think that the district you represent and other rural districts are underrepresented in Sacramento in terms of state resources and attention. What does the legislature not understand about your district?
Well, I think there's a big myth that food, water, timber, some of the most beautiful world recreation sites are in Senate District 4. I mean, I cover from the Tahoe Basin all the way down east side of California into Death Valley. I mean, if you think about ski resorts, hiking, biking, mountaineering, I have the Yosemite Valley. And then when you think of Central Valley, where our food is grown, we're a very prolific district.
Yep.
So I represent 13 counties, 21 cities, and work with 16 tribal nations. That in of itself is quite a feat. Senate District 4 is larger than 10 states in the US. Our population that we represent, I represent a little over a million, is more than our congressional partners and oftentimes more of some of our governors of the US. So we really are being taken for granted in that the history, the historic element of California is part of Senate District 4. And those of us who care for the forests, who care for the watersheds, who ensure that California ecotourism is thriving. I mean, our wine industry, our culinary industry, not to mention all the fruits and nuts and produce, our ranching industry. That is the area that I represent in California. And when you compare my district to LA, for example, we've got one vote compared to 7 to 12 votes in both
Yeah.
the Senate and the Assembly. It's quite drastic.
It is quite drastic. Yeah, I mean, there's so much goodness coming out of your district, and I think people just expect that fruit, and the cattle, everything's just gonna happen. Your district needs support and needs visibility, and I think a lot of thanks from the people of California and the nation. We
Right,
can't we
exactly.
can't we can't forget. One thing I was gonna ask you, I forgot to ask you earlier is when you switched, I believe last August,
Right,
from
over a
Democrat
year
to
ago.
Republican, you must have went through a bit of been in the cauldron,
Oh my
and
gosh,
taken a lot
yes,
of heat.
to say the
What's it
least.
Yeah, what's it like going from the supermajority to the minority? How are you treated? What's the day-to-day like for you?
Right. Well, I'll tell you, I never got death threats until I switched from Democrat to Republican. And so, even when I was a Democrat representing a predominantly Republican district, my constituents were willing to get to know me, have conversations. And if we disagreed on things, we were having thoughtful debate. It's not that same way with Democrats. Democrats have been quite vile, not only on my social media, but the death threats have been very serious. I mean, political violence is a very serious thing. I mean, my
Of course.
children, my family, my marriage. I mean, there's been quite the number of attacks. But I think about it this way. After I stood for my values and re-registered as a Republican, others came forward as well. I think you saw that across the US, and we're celebrating it. We're celebrating the fact that people are holding their values and are proud to say, "No, I'm a conservative voter. I'm a conservative Californian." Because far often, with political violence, people are afraid to say that they stand against abortion, or they stand for Second Amendment rights, or they stand for less government, less taxation. And you get called a racist if you say, I believe, all Californians deserve access, to quality jobs. Or it's this, as you say, a cauldron that is, it's a hot mess. It's a hot mess, the political atmosphere that we have in California,
Yeah.
that you cannot be true to who you are and verbalize it in a way that invites others in without the political attacks, without the personal attacks, and without the name calling and threats.
Well, thank you for standing up for what you believe. Thank you for being authentic to yourself. I think it's so important. I think it's a real inspiration to a lot of people. And as I travel the state, because I'm, somewhere every week talking to people, and when I talk to people privately, I come from the private sector running companies from startup to big. A lot of people are lazy politically. They've been registered Dem for a long time and it's just kind of sat there, right? But if they really examine where they are, most people are center right these days, practical.
That's right.
Practical change, practical policy. So I think that your leadership and lesson will probably inspire a lot more people. Senator, can we finish with some rapid fire?
Absolutely. Let's
All
go
right.
for it.
All right. So just one word, one phrase. You're queen for a day. The single biggest thing you do to fix California.
Queen for a day. That's funny terminology. Single thing that I would do to fix California. I think I would eliminate political parties and let people vote on their values, and completely dismantle the supermajority. I think we'd have more of a balanced government, and people would our electeds would actually represent the people versus representing the party.
You have to run on ideas versus just party rhetoric.
Yeah,
That's
I
that's
mean, look
actually
look at that one.
imagine that, right? Let's see. Is there a California leader, past or present, you most admire?
Wow, California leader. Well, I have to go back to my eighth grade school teacher. I mean, I'm going to say she's a leader because I mean she taught so many young people, and she was able to see through us as young people and really guide us. And the teacher that made a difference for me was Miss Muka. She was my English teacher. Essentially, took me out of a cycle of poverty and abuse that I had grown up in, and she taught me about the pathway to college. And she was actually at my wedding. It was something
Oh,
very
wow.
special for me. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that one. You're the first guest to mention a teacher
Yeah.
and no less helped you in your life and at your wedding. I love that. Thank you so much. Last one, fill in the blank. California is.
California is an amazing state. We struggle, but it's the people that make us great.
Yeah.
And, it's people over politics always.
You are a breath of fresh air. I love
Well,
your
thank you.
energy and your practicality. The way you communicate, right to the point, and but with a smile and a good heart. So thank you, Senator, for what you're doing out there.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity, and you have a great day and keep up the great work.
Thank you very much.